Well, it took me and Matt all summer long, but we finally grew some zucchini. Usually our zucchini and squash is like everybody else's. You can't really use it all. You're giving it away. You're making pickles. You're eating it. You've heard the jokes about people, taking it to church and putting it in somebody's car when they're not looking, or leaving it on somebody's doorstep while they're not at home. Usually ours does that good too, but this year it just didn't. All the squash we planted and all the zucchini we planted at the beginning of the summer, when it first warmed up enough to plant those things, they just didn't grow. They grew a little bit and then they kind of just petered out. They didn't really produce anything. I don't think we got one squash or one zucchini off of them. So about midway, probably June or something like that, might have even been July, one of our raised beds, our new raised beds on the bank, I thought, well, I'm going to plant some zucchini up there and some squash and see if they do any good. So I did. And truthfully, the squash, I think we got 3 or 4 or something like that, and then the crazy squash bugs got them. But one of our zucchinis thrived and produced, so we did actually get zucchini from it. Not enough to share with others, but at least enough for us to eat. Not really enough to put up either. I like to, mostly the way I put up my zucchini, I don't really put up squash ever, but with the zucchini, because I use it thinking about using it like in a recipe I'm going to share today in desserts, I just grate it and then go ahead and freeze it in little, maybe 2 cups, 1 cup, whatever, increments, and freeze it like that. But I didn't get to freeze any this year. But today I'm going to share one of my favorite recipes to use zucchini in that's a dessert. Now the one I grew up on, zucchini cake, I bet you've had that, more of like a coffee cake, and I really like it. And I love Granny's, and there's different variations. Seems like everybody you know's got theirs is just slightly different, but kind of mostly the same. But once I started writing for the Blind Pig and the Acorn, I realized that there's all kinds of recipes that have zucchini in them, all kinds of cake recipes that are different. So I have a couple on my blog. You could go there and search. And this one's actually there. There's my oven coming to heat. I actually just linked to it because I found this online. It's a chocolate cake recipe. I really love chocolate. Chocolate's my favorite, I guess, and especially I like chocolate cake. So it's from the site Sally's Baking, and I'll put the link down below, and you should definitely go look at how she describes to do it, because I've took some shortcuts or liberties since I've been making it, and I don't do mine exactly like hers, and I'm sure that hers is better. She's like a professional and I'm not. But I'm going to tell you first of all what's in it. It's really easy to whip up too. 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 3 cups of cocoa powder. Did I say 3 cups? That'd be an awful lot, wouldn't it? 3/4 cup of cocoa powder, 2 teaspoons baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon espresso powder, and that's optional. I don't ever put it in because it's just not something that I buy or have, but I'm sure it would make it even better. 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1 cup vegetable oil, 1 cup sugar, 3/4 cup brown sugar, and it doesn't matter dark or light, 4 large eggs at room temperature, 1/3 cup sour cream or plain yogurt at room temperature, 2 teaspoons vanilla, 3 cups shredded zucchini, 1 cup chocolate chips, semi-sweet. I'm sure you could use whatever you wanted to though. And again, I'm going to put that link below, and if you jump over to her site, you could print it out and again read her directions, which are I'm sure the best. So I liked it, and then we're going to bake it at 350. Over the years that I've made this, I've made it like in what I'm going to do today in round cake pans, and that's what she suggests doing. But I've also made it in an 11 by 13 pan, like a square pan. Works really good like that too. Really, really good either way. I'm sure you could do cupcakes. The sky's the limit any way that you wanted to do it. Let's see if I can make me some room here. I've got too much stuff, and scoot my book over there. The first thing, we're going to whisk together our flour. Get all that out. Our cocoa. I'm going to get it all over me if I keep using my fingers. Our baking powder, baking soda, and salt. And also the espresso powder if you're using that, but of course I'm not. And we're just going to mix that up together. Mix all our dry ingredients there. Now you can pull out your mixer and use it, and I think that's what she suggests, using a mixer or beating it, but I'm just going to do it in a bowl. Sometimes I just hate to pull out my big mixer, and then I hate to wash the mixing little things that do the mixing on my other one. So I just like to mix it all up in a bowl. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to get my bigger bowl, and in it I'm going to beat together my eggs. I'm going to go ahead and beat them just a little bit, get them broke up. Okay, I'm going to add get my thing back, the sour cream. Actually, I've got yogurt today. I didn't have any sour cream, but I had some of Katie's yogurt, so I'm using it. And instead of using vegetable oil, I use olive oil. Now, if you use olive oil, some people say they can taste it, so that's why a lot of people don't like to use it. But our family doesn't mind that part. But the original recipe says canola or vegetable oil. Olive oil does, if you use extra virgin, it does have sometimes a taste, and if that bothers you, you definitely shouldn't use it. I'm going to stir that a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to add my sugars, my vanilla, now my zucchini. I think her directions say to pat your zucchini dry. I've just had mine, I just usually set mine in a colander here for a few minutes in a sieve to let it drain slightly. But you again can go over and read her directions. And I'm going to change my utensils here so the zucchini don't get caught in my whisk. A lot of people ask me about this little whisk. Put it in the washer there. It's a Rada whisk. I'll put that link down below in case you're interested. So I'm going to get swapped to this and stir in my zucchini. Now I'm ready to add my dry ingredients. I'm just going to add them all at once. Something really satisfying about not using the mixer and just doing it by hand. Now, when I was young, when I first started cooking and Granny let me make cakes in her kitchen, oh, I wanted to use the mixer. I wanted to use that mixer and make all that noise. But today, I don't like to clean up the mixer, and I don't like to put the big one back under the cabinet. It's silly, I know. About got it all mixed in. Okay, now I'm ready to add the final things, my chocolate chips. Get some of this out of my way and get my pans. Her directions say to grease the pans, which I did, but also I like to use little parchment liners that go in the bottom. They're just circular, so they just fit right down in there. I'll put a link to them too if you've never seen them before. I didn't even know anything like that existed until probably, I don't know, 10 years ago or something like that. I took a cooking class, and that's when I learned about them. I thought that is so handy for cakes that sometimes stick. I'm not sure this one would stick, but my arch tater cake, it sticks. So those are, I really like using that. And of course you can just get parchment paper and cut it yourself. Either way. But those little rounds come in handy. So now we're just going to put some in. Some more to put in. Let me judge which one I got the... Actually did pretty good. Okay. Woo. Of course, I had to drip some. I can never cook without making a mess. So we're going to put these in the 350 oven for, she says, from 25 to 32 minutes, because it just kind of just depends on your oven how it cooks. And then once they're done, we're going to let them cool completely, and then I'll show you how to frost them. So I got the cake out of the oven, I let it cool while I did some other things, and then I made buttercream frosting chocolate to go on top. Now I used that's just a really common recipe, so you probably have one that you already use, but I use the one that's also from the same website where the cake come from. So I will link to that again in the description below. Sally's Baking, I think it's the name of it, and you definitely should go because she gives all kinds of tips and tricks about how to make the perfect cake. As you know, if you watch my videos, I worry about how things taste, not so much about how they look, just usually because I'm in too much of a hurry. And it's just me. But I do admire people that make a beautiful, perfect cake, so definitely go over there and check that out. Now the recipe, I've made this recipe lots of times, and as I said, sometimes I use 11 by 13, just a long pan, and then sometimes I do the layers. I will tell you, it's much easier to use the long pan because of all that wonderful zucchini in there, and either if you use yogurt or sour cream, whatever you use, it is a really moist cake, really moist. So it's one of those that kind of want to fall apart on you. Now, if you're an expert baker, you probably already know how to fix that or how to handle it when it comes out, but it is really, really soft and really moist. So if you want to make it for the first time, maybe make it that way and see if you like it. Good enough to do it again and try the layered look. And again, if you go to her website, she gives lots of tips and tricks. So I'm going to cut me just a little piece, even though it's really getting close to supper time by now. I'm going to try for a little bitty one. I'm not doing very good at cutting it, but boy, it's going to taste good. I know that. It's going to be delicious. So moist. I'm going to have to wash my hands off. Of course, I had to get me some milk to go with it. Go with my piece here. Move that up just a little bit. Get me a bite. Another thing that makes it really moist is putting those chocolate chips in it. Now, if you're a chocolate fan like I am, you're definitely going to love it. So good, so very moist. And really, really chocolatey. You don't like most zucchini desserts like this, you don't taste the zucchini at all. Really, really good. I can't quit eating it. I need to though. Milk goes so well with chocolate, especially something that rich. Get my milk mustache off. So if you try the cake, I really hope you enjoy it. I'm going to cut another little piece and I'm going to take it to Katie. During the video, you might have heard somebody coughing. If you go, well, who is that coughing? Who keeps coughing? It's Katie. Katie's not been feeling well. She's got a bad cough, as we would say, and so she's on the couch resting right now. So I think I'm going to make her a piece and take it to her, see if she's able to eat it. As always, I'm glad when you stop by to help me celebrate Appalachia. In this case, sharing this wonderful cake recipe, but also it took us all summer, but Matt and I finally did grow some zucchini.